Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Ron Wheeler. We will officially start our presentation here in just a few minutes. It's about 4:28 here where I'm at in Ohio. I'm working from my home office tonight. I work for VectorVest out of Akron. They also have an office in North Carolina if you didn't know that. But I'm a VectorVest guy along with my colleagues that are here tonight to help me along. I hope you're excited. This is going to be a great webinar. We're going to give a lot of information about the trading secrets of options paycheck and how to generate that income from any market. So let me do this. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let me do a microphone check. If you guys can hear my voice and you can see the screen that says options paycheck, do me a favor and just type a Y or a yes in the chat. And then, all right, Daniel and Ron and David, you guys were first, and Henry and Victor and Steve, and there's a bunch of them that just passed by, I couldn't read. Harris and Michael and Marcos, all right, cool beans, Drew. Now, if you're wondering, I can see you guys and your comments. You can't see each other's. That's how GoToMeeting works. Austin and David and Kenneth and James, welcome to all of you. That's good. Last night we did a presentation like this and I had some issues with it, and I'm glad everything's working today. let's just say that. So again, one of the reasons why I always open the room a little bit early is because I want to make sure that number one, everything's working. It is. That's great. Number two, it helps me get you guys to know where that chat window is so we can interact throughout the session tonight. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the presentation. There's 3 or 4 places inside the presentation where I want some feedback, some direct feedback on some questions. And then beyond that, feel free to ask other questions. Now, I will not answer questions live during the presentation. That's why I have my colleagues here with me that are also very familiar with the options paycheck system, and they can, answer those questions. Now, the session itself takes about an hour, hour and 5 minutes or so. At the end of the session, we'll have an open Q&A session, so you guys can ask any questions that you want, anything that you want to discuss as far as what we learned tonight. So, with that in mind, I see that it is 4:30, so let's go ahead and get this guy started, and let's do it. So I want to welcome all of you to today's webinar. It's called the Options Paycheck, and in today's webinar, I'll be showing you the breakthrough system we developed here at VectorVest to generate safe monthly income in any market. Now, the information I'm going to share with you has changed my life, and I've seen it change the lives of so many people. So I hope you're excited about it. In fact, my promise to you today is this. In this webinar, you're going to see how you can begin making a paycheck averaging $3,000 or more per month. Now, this figure, okay, there's some math involved here, is based on the fact that most of our clients are generating on average around 3% per month. Okay, that's using our most basic income strategy. Now, keep in mind, you can do this regardless of market direction. You can do it because I'm going to teach you the whole thing with little to prior trading experience. It's going to be safer than simply buying stocks or selling for that matter. And here's the kicker. You will be able to make money even if you're wrong. Now, I know 3% per month on average may sound too good to be true. You have a $10,000 account, 3% per month. $100,000 account, 3% per month. The truth is, a lot of our clients are doing better than this. So in today's webinar, I'm going to show you the exact system I use to generate these types of returns. I'm going to give you case studies and examples of clients who are actually doing this month in and month out. I'm going to show you our system so that if you learn and follow the strategies, you can do the same. I'm also going to prove to you that our options paycheck system will get better returns and safer than trading stocks or options alone. Now, at the end of the day, this webinar is built on results, and not just the results that I've seen personally, but on the results of real people that I've worked with. So I'm going to show you the system I taught them and the results my clients have achieved. Results like Brian, $6,000 trading account into $23,000 in profits in 10 months. John grew his IRA by 112% in 12 months. Bob, 71% return on investment in 4. Mike, who's generating over $3,000 per month of income in his first 4 months following the system. And I'll show you how Bruce grew his account from $100,000 to $497,000 in 3.5 years. And I'll also share with you all a number of other client success stories. Now, here's kind of the foray into this. This is an example of the type of trade that we're going to talk about today. This is Costco. I've traded Costco a lot. It had a great looking chart, price was rising, earnings are good, but if you bought the stock, it only rose about 1.4%. That's not that great, right? You're barely making money. But with our options paycheck system we'll talk about today, you don't have to be exactly right on direction. Had you placed the trade that I'm going to talk about today, a 1.4% stock move resulted in a 16% gain for you in only 12 days. Like Frank. Frank posted on our private Facebook group that he made $9.55. Now imagine having several of those trades each month. Now, will there be losers? Of course, nothing's 100%. But historically, our Paycheck stock system has averaged over 70% winning trades, and that's what's going to result in a consistent net income. So today, I'm going to show you the trade to do that. So if learning how to do that sounds good, now's a great time to turn off your distractions, close your office door like I did, turn off your cell phone, which I need to, close down other windows on your computer. Don't multitask. I don't want you to miss an important part of this here. You want to stay focused and give this your full attention, because this could be something that can make a huge impact on the rest of your life. Now, I mentioned earlier, my name is Ron Wheeler. There's what I always like to call my face for radio. I am the perfect internet presentation guy. I've been trading now for 24 years. I've been with VectorVest as their options income coach for 6. When I first started trading, like a lot of people, I had a hard time making money. It took me about 2 years to really get trading under my feet and become successful at it. I actually blew out my first 2 trading accounts, which means I took them all the way down to 0. Now, I had a significant advantage as a trader. I worked for a company that supplied trading software and algorithms. I had some of the best traders in the country working the next office over. So I was able to bounce ideas and figure out what I was doing wrong off those folks. Okay? Now, one of the reasons that it's hard to become profitable as a trader or an investor is because to do this right, you have to have 2 things. Number 1, you have to have the ability to react and trade and identify market direction and stock direction. That's hard to learn. It's one of the easier things to learn, to be fair, though. When you buy something, it has to go up for you to make money. If it goes sideways or down, you're not going to make any money. If you sell something, it has to go down to make money, or sideways or up, it's not going to make money. You're either going to lose or break even. That's the first hurdle of becoming a good trader or investor. The second thing is portfolio and money management. How much should I risk per trade? How much should I be taking in on every win? You have to balance perfect portfolio management and risk tolerance management with finding good stock and market direction. It's a significant hurdle for people to climb. Here's how we can change that. My investment and trading style changed about 10 years into my trading career. One of my clients came and visited me who I had taught technical analysis to, and he was actually a hedge fund manager, and he was an options trader. And he kind of showed me what I like to think of as the secret to how these big institutions trade these options. He showed me that he could take the same trade that I took on whether it was IBM or corn. And he said, Ron, listen, you think that stock or market's going to go up. We both do. I'm going to do my trade, you do yours. Now here's the difference. Where you're going to get stopped out with a loss, I'm going to make money on that trade. He showed me how options could really benefit me by controlling the risk up front. I know exactly what I can make and exactly what I can lose, even if the market has a huge move against me. And he showed me how my analysis didn't have to be as good, because I can make money even if my prediction for a stock, a market, whatever, to go up or down failed. Think of the pressure that takes off you. Well, I started trading options solely a couple of years later, and I really haven't looked back. It's really the path of least resistance to profits in this market. Okay? Now, today's journey, we're going to cover a couple things. Number 1, the key strategic shift to being able to generate income safely from the market. We're going to talk about how to win even if you're wrong. You're going to see the real problem that's been holding you back from winning a lot more than you lose. I'm going to show you how to trade with very little risk. You're going to learn to avoid the big mistake that most people make and what you need to do to place these low risk trades. In fact, the risk will be much lower than if you just simply bought or sold stocks. And then I'm going to tie it all into a bulletproof system that you can use in as little as 15 minutes a day. This is how we average that 3% per month. Okay? Now, over the last decade, I've been doing this type of trading. I fine-tuned it and tweaked it so it's easy to understand. Anybody can do it, even if they are a beginner. So let me ask you guys, does that sound all okay to you, what our plan is for today? If it does, do me a favor, type a yes in the chat box for me. I just want to make sure we're still going well and getting there And okay, good deal. Dennis, yes. And I see Akram and Drew and Wayne and Jerry and Marcos and Alyssa and Ryan and Ted and Douglas and James and Marie and Jorge. All right, welcome to all of you guys too. All right, cool beans. Now, why is this important? It's an important topic because you have to think of income as it is. Why do we work? We work to generate income. Now, if you asked 100 people, they might say, well, I work because it's a sense of achievement, it gives me purpose, maybe a contribution to society. But the overwhelming answer to that question is simple: for the paycheck. The paycheck enables us to live hopefully pretty well today, but then put away enough for the future so we don't have to go to work. Now, the hard truth is, without a system to help you and you can't generate that income, you're stuck trading time for money. In other words, without an income system, it's on you. And that creates a number of problems. If we're not retired, it keeps you stuck in a situation where you have to continue to work. What this means is we're trading time, i.e. our lives, for money. Whether you got a lot of money or no money at all, concerns about finances are one of the leading causes of stress. Worrying about whether you'll have enough, you can pay your bills, running out of money, that has a huge impact on the health of us, our lives, our relationships. In other words, you can't stop working until you have enough, but we don't really know what enough is. So we keep working to get enough, just like the hamster on the wheel, constantly spinning, right? We're taught to work for some future event called retirement when we can finally stop working so hard and enjoy ourselves. Now, in my opinion, working to save enough for retirement is not really the best approach. That's not the best approach on its own. Because if you're already retired, you might be watching your savings get depleted faster than you can fill it. And if things don't improve, you may fear you'll have to give up on investing and maybe go back to work. Worst case scenario, you'll run out of money during retirement. Or if you're in it like I am to create a second source of income, your lifestyle will drop. Your standard of living, you won't be able to do the things that you wanted to do. Now, with a system in place that helps you generate income, things are a lot different. I believe this is probably the most important point of the webinar, so pay attention to this and write it down. In order to be financially free, our main need is income. This is why most of us spend the majority of our lives working for a paycheck. But to become financially free, you need to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and needs. So let me say that again. In order to become truly financially free, you need to learn to generate income from your investments. That will help you cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. And when you do that, you achieve that financial freedom. So whether you're still working like I am or retired like I know a lot of you are right now, generating income from your investments is one of the most empowering skill sets you can have. Now, let me be clear on something. I'm not suggesting you take our course and learn this stuff and go quit your day job, okay? But it will provide you a consistent source of income. It's like having a second job if you're working like I am. Or if you're retired, you can keep income coming in as if you had your job still, but you don't have it anymore. It's a tap that you can turn on whenever you want it. It lets you live your lifestyle, doing the things you want to do now and when you retire. That's why today's webinar is so important. When you've got a system to help you generate income, it can help you retire sooner and retire wealthier. Or again, I kick it back to me, who I still work. It helps me live a wealthier life, okay, without depleting your nest egg. Now, as I said, I believe this is one of the most important points of the presentation, so I'll say it one more time. When the income from our investments exceeds our living expenses, we become financially free or have the ability to retire. In my opinion, learning how to generate income on your investments is more important than how much we earn in our jobs. We work to generate income. That's why we have a job. When are we able to stop doing that? When the income from our investments is enough for us to live. Now, I know a lot of you are younger like me, and you say, Ron, how much do I need to do this, right? You'd be surprised in how little you need to get started. One of my clients, Brian, he's a great example of how you can put this to work with even a small amount. He had some health problems, and he needed a way to supplement his income. By using the Paycheck system, he was able to generate $23,000 in profits, starting with just a $6,000 account. He had 100% winning trades in 10 months, 31 of 31, using our most basic index system. Now, the key point here is this is not beginner's luck. It came as a result of following the system, okay? Now, the first thing you need to do to take control of your returns is kind of a strategic mindset shift here. I talked about Brian. I said it's not luck. Here's how he could do it. You are either going to continue being the gambler where you lose more than you win, or you're going to become an option seller and win more than you lose. Being an option seller is the way that you can make consistent income each month and allow you to win even when you're wrong. Now, the reason why the casino or the house wins all that time, and the reason why you want to be the casino, is because they always win. And number two, they win because they stack and control probability. There's easy systems out there that can beat the casino, but the casinos develop rules into the game where you can't do it, right? The Paycheck system is like the casino. We build and we stack the odds massively in your favor. So make a note of this. In order to control your returns and results, you need to know how to control and stack probability in your favor. The house always wins because it stacks the probability overwhelmingly in its favor. So the obvious question, how do we start doing this? Well, again, the first step is to shift from being the buyer of options to being the seller. So let me explain. Bruce is a great example of shifting from that gambling approach on stocks to being the casino and controlling and stacking probability. Prior to working with us, he had mainly taken stock tips from brokers. Bruce focused on our SPX income system, which is our most basic trading system. He said he's not the most technical person in the world, but in the time he's been working with us, he's grown his trading account from $100,000 to $497,000 in 3.5 years. He's achieving a 74% win percentage simply by following the rules of the Paycheck system. And the whole system takes him around 15 minutes a day. So let me show you how this works. Here's an example of a typical trade you've been taught to make, right? You see a stock, you like it, you think it's going to go up, so you buy shares of it, right? Or let's put it into the option world. You buy a call. Why do you buy a call? You buy a call because that's like one of the most basic options trades you can do. It's one of the first things usually you're taught to do, right? When you buy a call, you have the right to own the stock. So if the stock goes up, your call becomes more valuable. But what ends up happening a lot of times? Well, maybe the stock doesn't go up like you thought it was, and that call that you bought ends up expiring worthless. Or maybe the stock goes up a little bit and the call that you bought still expires worthless and you lose. Has that ever happened to you? Well, let's talk about this. What's the problem that's causing you to lose? Most people look at that situation, they feel as, well, maybe they picked the wrong stock, right? Maybe it was the wrong strike price. An option has a strike price where you can buy the stock or sell the stock at. Like I would buy a call at $100 a share. Or maybe it's the wrong expiration. They bought an expiration that expired in 14 days instead of one that expired in 180 days. Well, here's the real problem. If you've been losing money or had more losers than winners with other systems, it's not your fault. That's because most of the systems on the planet teach you to be on the wrong side of the trade. You're taught to buy an option. But as a buyer, the probabilities are not on your side. And for most people, they end up buying and losing, buying and losing, buying and losing. The Paycheck system teaches you a new way of thinking. Remember, you're going to be a seller and not a buyer. This is how you get ahead of everyone else. This is how we can put probability on our side. That's how you win even if you're wrong. So let's take a closer look at selling options. As a buyer, a typical trade gives you a 50-50 chance to be a winner, right? Because when you buy a stock, the only way you make money is if the stock moves in your direction. So instead of having a buyer's mentality, you're going to have a seller's mentality. Instead of hoping a stock goes up, as a seller, you're going to strategically set up your trade using probability. Options have a built-in probability. Probability will tell you where the stock is not likely to go. You can see how my price moved down, and now I've got a 60-40% chance. The stock's at 204, my price is 195. Instead of needing the stock to go in your direction, you can pick a price which basically says, as long as the stock doesn't go down to here, I can make money. So, if you would have bought that stock and it went up, you would have made money. If you do an options paycheck trade and the stock goes sideways, you make money. If you would simply just buy the stock, you break even. If the stock goes down, with a normal trade that you buy a call or you buy the shares, you lose. The options paycheck, as long as this stock stays above 195, you win. you have a much bigger range to make money. Okay? And what happens if it goes below 195? You take a small proportional loss on the trade. Now, when we find the right option market conditions, we can even increase the probability. In this case, I put it 70% in my way. Now I've got a stock at 204 that I think is going to go up. As long as it stays above $190 a share, which is a pretty big buffer, it's like $13, right? As long as it stays above there, I can make money. Think about that. If you bought a call and the stock went down to 195, you're losing money. If you bought 100 shares of this thing at 203 and it moves down to 195, you just lost $800. But with a paycheck trade, you're still profitable. You can only do this as an option seller. As a seller, you're putting the probability of success in your favor, and that's the definition of an income trade. An income trade is where you can make money even if you are wrong on direction. Let me introduce another client, Mike. He was someone who dabbled with options, but he said he lost on each of his trades. Have you ever been there? Can you imagine how frustrating that must be to lose on each trade? Well, eventually he gave it a pause, right? He's like, I'm not doing these options anymore. He went back to it a while later. He learned more, read some books, did some articles on the internet, but he said he never felt comfortable yet because he didn't have a set criteria. He knew how everything worked, but he didn't know how to use it, right? It's like an engine in the car. Most people don't know how the engine of a car works, but they know when they get in the car, they can drive the car, right? He didn't have set criteria. So we worked together. I taught him the Paycheck system of being an option seller, and he said it became like an income machine. He said as soon as he implemented this right away, he had 17 out of 19 winning trades with profits of over $12,000 in 4 months. He was so proud of his success, he even sent me the spreadsheet of his trades. Now here's Mike's results. Notice the number of winners, that's the profit column, compared to the losers. Now that's typical. I also want you to notice the length of the trades. 4 days, 5 days, 7 days, a couple at 10. These trades typically are about 7 to 10 calendar days long. And he's pulling in about $1,000 every 7 to 10 days with over 85% winners. Our SPX index system has averaged over the last decade over 85%. You're placing trades that have a high probability of winning. And again, I want you to go back to the casino and the gambler analogy. We're going to be the casino stacking the odds in our favor every time we trade, not the gambler who is taking those home run shots, and especially home runs, right? Home runs look very good. You've all seen the ads. Look how you can make 1,200% on this trade. Well, what they don't tell you is out of 50 trades, 2 of them did that and the rest are all losers, right? That's the home run approach. That's not good for income. Income is like in baseball hitting singles, getting on base. That way, if that home run comes in every now and then, you get a run, right? Singles, doubles, getting on base is what wins games, okay? Home runs look good on paper, but getting on base and hitting those singles and doubles, that's how you win. So you've seen simply by flipping from buyer to seller, you stack the odds in your favor. Brian, 31 of 31 trades, right? Mike, 17 and 19 as soon as they implement the system. Now we're going to stack the odds even further by understanding and capitalizing on 3 most common buyers or those gamblers' mistakes. And the first mistake is a lot of option buyers choose unrealistic strike prices. They choose strikes that are so far away the stock has no chance of hitting it. So take a look at here. This is a great looking stock, right? It's bullish, right? So I want it to go up. If I'm going to buy an option, a big option mistake is I go way higher than the current price of the stock. Now I've put myself in a position where I can't really make a lot of money unless the stock goes from 217 to 230. Now, why do they do that? Because it's cheap, right? I can buy an option at 230 for maybe $50 versus paying $1,000 for it at 215. You're using what I like to call a lottery ticket approach to trading. All right, I'm only going to lose $50, but if the stock rallies $30, I can make $1,700, right? The problem is it has less than a 1% chance of that occurring. All right, it's not good. Now, since there's always going to be buyers out there who buy those, we will be the one to sell it to them. When you have those strikes like that and you sell those low probability options, that gives us a high probability of winning. Now, the same goes in either direction. Puts. If you think the stock will go down, typically you buy a put. Or what a lot of people do if they own stock, they buy puts as cheap insurance. That way if the stock goes down, they're protected, right? Listen, it doesn't matter why people are buying these puts so far away from the price. Okay? We're going to use that to our advantage and we are going to sell it to them. There's always going to be buyers out there. And when we do this, that's how we get that 60 to 90% probability of success. Strike. Mistake number 2 is using the options expiration. The second mistake is people choosing expirations that are too close to the current date. It's like when you go to the grocery store. You're hungry, you're on your way home from work, you want to go make a steak, right? You go to the rack, you got a filet for 30 bucks a pound, you got a filet for $15 a pound. What's the difference? The $30 a pound, I could take that home and cook it over the next week if I want to. That $15 one needs to be cooked tonight or tomorrow. It might make me sick. Listen, if you're going to eat it now, buy the one that expires tonight. But don't take that one home expecting it to stay fresh. Same is true for options. This is what happens to the price of an option in relation to the number of days to expiration. Notice over 180 days it took 135 to lose half of the option's value. Now in the last 45 days, I'll put my cursor, actually I'll get my laser pointer out. Over the last 45 days where my laser pointer is, the value drops exponentially. Over 135 days, that option lost half its value. The remaining half of it was destroyed in the last 45 days. Now, this is where a lot of option buyers look to trade, and they do it because it's cheaper. The option price has bled so much, what was once 1,000 may now only be 500. But the problem is that exponential decay eats into the price of their option premium. Even if the stock goes the direction they want to, that time decay is slowly eating away its premium. Okay? We take advantage of this because every time that option decays, we make money. What we're going to do is we are going to buy, or we are going to sell options instead of buying in that window. Okay? This stacks probability in our favor even more. Take a look at Home Depot. Let's assume that I'm bullish from Home Depot, maybe right where my laser pointer is. A lot of people will go out there, maybe they'll buy an option that expires in a couple weeks. Maybe they'll even buy an option that expires in the next month. But the problem is, time decay is exponentially declining. So even if the stock goes up, all of that premium that's being eaten away in the option makes it disadvantageous for the option buyer. But as the option seller, that allows me to profit. It's like little deposits in my account every day. Okay? Now listen, there are always reasons that people are buying options way too close and way too far out of the money and way too strike prices way too high or low. We are going to be the one who sells it to them. Now, the third mistake that buyers make is they simply pay too much. They buy what's called overpriced options. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. I have two stocks. Both are about the same price, about 76 bucks. But even though the two stocks have the same price, look at the option premium. Over on the left, it's $900 versus over on the right, it's $180. Same length to expiration, same strike price, and a same dollar stock. Why do they have such different prices? Well, because on the one on the left, that had very high volatility, leading to the option being overpriced. Buyers who buy these options are simply paying too much. And what's the big deal? Well, watch what happens. Let's pretend that the stocks go up $8 a share. Think about that. If you bought 100 shares of each stock, you would make $800, right? But if you had bought the options, over on the left, you actually would have lost money. Even though the stock went up $8 a share, you lost money because the premium was too high. Now, over on the right, you'd have had a 300% return on your $180 investment. Think about that. The buyer got direction right and still lost. Why? Because he ignored volatility. Okay? They paid way too much for that premium. Now, what we're going to do as option sellers, we are going to go out there and find that. I'm going to go out there and find those overpriced expensive options, and I can be a seller instead. Why? Why do I want to sell these overpriced options? Two reasons. Number one, the more expensive they are for me to sell, the more probability I make. The second reason, the more expensive they are, the least amount of risk I make. That's the key. Lower dollar risk and higher probability by selling these overpriced options. Okay? You're stacking probability on your side even more. Now, Bob has one of the most interesting stories I've seen. Prior to working with us, he said he was making a bunch of those mistakes that we talk about here, and it cost him dearly. In fact, he said he ended up either broke or bankrupt 3 times. In his own words, he came close to living under a bridge. The options paycheck system helped Bob turn his situation around in as little as 4 months. He learned to turn these mistake liabilities into strategies to control and stack his favor. In 4 months, he said he grew his account by 71% and achieved 79% winning trade percentage. Now remember, in order to control your risks and results, you need to know how to control and stack probability. We've seen it 3 times now. Brian, Mike, and now Bob. System implemented, boom, 79% winning trades, 71% ROI in 4 months. The system. Okay? Now let me ask you guys a question in the background. Have you ever made any of those buyer's mistakes for those of you that have traded options in the past? And here's the kicker. If you haven't traded options, it's okay. You're learning things to avoid as you take the plunge into the options world. You know what I mean? Dwayne, you were first. Yes, I have. Yep, I see a lot of yeses coming in. And then I see a couple of you guys that have never traded. Michael, you mentioned yes as well. There's a lot kind of going on, so I'm trying to keep up. Nathaniel, yep. Drew, yep. Wayne, yep. So I see it. I mean, listen, I don't pick these mistakes out at random, right? Brandon, you also mentioned yes. These are common mistakes that buyers make. They're the ones that we have to overcome. Myself included when I first started trading options. Listen, it's not your fault that you're making these mistakes. You were simply taught a broken system. So let's talk about trading with very little risk. You know you want to sell now, right? Selling is how you put probability and that risk in your favor, stacking probability. When a lot of people hear the word options, and especially selling options, they think it's risky. However, the Paycheck system uses a very low-risk strategy for selling options, and this is why it's a core strategy we teach to our retirees. Now, why is reducing risk so important? Well, number one, most people who don't implement our options Paycheck system, they're not preserving their capital. This is the horror story that's most commonly told to me. Ron, I've tried this in the past, but I had like 25 winning trades, and then one trade came along and wiped out all my gains. I hear that way too often, okay? When that happens, it makes it very hard to recover your losses. When you trade like this, you have to have a built-in protection plan. You need to take care of risk management before you open the trade. Do you know how to avoid a trade that wipes out 25 winners? Don't take it. That's the key. Don't take it. You have to learn how the trade's risk management works. Okay? Because if you control your risk, I can tell you this, the most loss I have ever had as an options paycheck trader, right? The most loss I've ever had was probably a loss that took out 3 of my wins. That's it. If I make $1,000 on every winning trade, the most I've ever probably lost is $3,000 on a trade. And that's because the market had a significant move. Right? That doesn't happen. I can count on one hand the number of times that has happened over the last 15 years. Okay? You don't take trades that would wipe out all your gains. You have to select stocks confidently, set up the trades in a way that reduces risk. It allows you to preserve and grow your capital. Now, like I said earlier, right? Home runs look good, but singles are what wins the games. One of the most common questions I get is, can I do this in my IRA? John is a good example of this. He said he grew his IRA over 100% in 1 year, 112%. He tried and struggled with trading for some time before working with us. He learned to follow the system and turned his inconsistent results into predictable income. He said he enjoyed 85% winning trades and more than double the size of his IRA. So now we add John to the mix, right? Inconsistent, implement the system, now consistent. Now, the options paycheck system makes sure you reduce your risk before you even open the trade. First, we choose stocks that are low risk, right? We have a very specific criteria, but in general, if we're bullish, we start by focusing on good stocks that are rising in price, similar to what you see here on the graph. Now, instead of selling an option naked, we are going to sell with protection. Do you ever see, and I can't believe this, when I first saw this ad, I think it was on Facebook, I almost threw up, right? They take a person that's never traded options before and they're like, let me show you how to create income with options. And they teach them to sell an option. You just made $200, right? Well, yeah, when you sold that option, you got paid $200. But what they don't tell you is if that stock plummets, that $200, and I'm using air quotes, that you made, now is a $10,000 loss, right? They don't tell you that part. Traditional option selling systems leave you with all of this risk down here, okay? But what we're going to do with the options paycheck system is we're going to reduce your risk to that amount. So let me show you how this works. This again is a graph of a typical stock we'd be bullish on. Beautiful graph, so it's understandable that you'd want to be bullish on this. Traditionally, what do? You buy the stock here, right? Maybe even buy a call using the current stock price as your strike price. But in this case, what we're going to do is in a bullish market, we are going to sell a put. All right? When you sell a put, you receive a premium. You're getting paid. So in this example, you're going to get paid $200, like I just told you, right? Now, if you did this on 10 contracts, you get paid $2,000, right? 10 contracts times 200. Now, again, that's great, but you have no downside protection in case the stock drops. So what we do is we use a built-in protection plan. You are going to simultaneously buy a put as insurance. Now, buying that put right there has reduced your risk to only that. All right? Now, that protection plan costs something. To buy that protection, you need to use some, but not all of the money you receive from selling the put. In this example, the insurance only cost $100. Now, that's okay because you received $200 from selling the put. So ultimately, if you did that trade on one contract, you're going to get paid $100 to place that trade. Okay? If you did 10 contracts, that trade would pay you $1,000. Now, what happens? With that trade in mind, remember, we think the stock is going to go up. If it goes up, we make money. If it goes sideways, we make money. As long as it stays above 135, we will make money. And if it goes below 135, you will have a proportional small loss. How do I know that? Because you're not going to take a trade that doesn't give you a small proportional loss. So let's do it. I want to put everybody here into the seller's mentality. So I want to use a few examples of trades that I did with my clients to help you understand how to set them up. So make sure you're listening. This is going to be a good feedback area. I'm going to be showing you some numbers now, so you need to pay attention. This is Goldman Sachs, right? At Goldman Sachs, I thought it was going to go up. This is from earlier this year, February, right? What I need to do, I think that based on all of my analytics, that I think that this stock is going to go up, right? I think it's going to go up. All right? Let me get my little pen out here where I can draw some lines. I think it's going to go up. Now, the seller's mentality says, I want this thing to go up, but using probability, where am I comfortable putting a price in? The stock's at $311, right where I'm drawing that arrow, okay? What I've got to do is come underneath the stock and pick a line in the sand. So I can pick 305, I can pick 285, I can pick 275, I can pick 265. Now there's a caveat here, okay? This costs you something. If you want to trade where I can have all of this room to work, guess what? That trade may have $100 that I can make with a $2,000 loss. Okay? Probability costs you something. If I want to have half of that area, maybe only this part right here, that trade may be a $500 win and a $1,000 loss. Okay? If I did the trade a little bit closer, it might have a $1,000 winning potential and maybe only a $700 loss. So what I'm trying to explain to you is this. It's easy to go and look at this chart and say, well, Ron, obviously, I think this stock's gonna go up. It's gonna stay above 270 bucks a share. It's not that easy. You're gonna be combining risk reward and probability to get this trade going. Now, my purpose for you guys seeing this chart right now is not so you know exactly what we're doing. I want you to get in the seller's mentality. I want you to say, okay, Goldman Sachs is 310. I think it's going to go up. What price are you comfortable placing a trade to say, all right, I think over the next couple of weeks it's going to stay above here or here, knowing and keeping in mind risk reward? All right, Wayne, you were first at 295, 270 Mark, 260 Daniel, 265 Ray, Ryan, you're at 300, 290 Jerry. So I would say most of you guys are in this range right in this area. From what I'm seeing, a couple of you guys are way down here. 265, 290 Jerry. Okay, I already got you, Jerry. Michael's at 275. All right, so here's where I ended up taking this trade. And I'm going to show you this because I want you to understand the distance that I'm generally talking about here. I took this trade at 300 and 290. So what I did is I sold a $300 put and I bought simultaneously a $290 put. I did that on 5 contracts and I was paid $785. Now, here's how that trade worked out. This is my Thinkorswim screen that you guys can see. On February 16th at 12:30, I entered that trade by selling the 300 put and simultaneously buying the 295. I was paid $1.57 or $157 times 3 contracts I think I did. Okay? I did that 157. Actually, I think it was more than that. It was like 4 or 5 contracts. Now, I exited the trade 8 days later and I made 390. Now, how did I do that? On the day I entered the trade, I got paid $157. On the day I exited the trade, I paid my broker $79, and I get to keep the difference. It's a 9% return, even though the stock only rose about 4%. So let me show you guys another example of this. This is Tesla. Tesla looks nice. It's a good long time uptrend. And then also when I took this trade last fall, it was just breaking over that $500 resistance level. At the time, Tesla was about $525. Now, what I want you guys to see here is, and what I want you guys to look at is, where would you be comfortable with that same idea, being a seller and saying, all right, I think Tesla's going to go up, but combining risk reward, combining probability, where do you think the space will occur? Is it going to be at 475, at 500, 400? Where do you think the best combination will be? All right, so Jerry and David, you guys were both first. You guys think alike. You're at 450. That's down here. Wayne, you said 475. That's up around here. Daniel, 460. I know I'm going to skip a lot of these. I'm sorry. I'm trying to read as many as I can. Evans, 425, 460, 475, 450. Ryan, 500, 475, 400. Ray, 450. David, I like that. 50% retracement at 450. That's good. Now, here's the thing. The only thing I want you guys to understand at this point is the fact that you think a stock's going to go up, you're picking a price underneath it. That's just getting into the seller's mentality, okay? There is a specific way we select these strikes and select the risk. So I don't want you to think that you're just going to go to a chart and pick something at random. My whole purpose of showing you guys this is simply so you're in that seller's mentality, okay? Now, where I actually did this trade was at 485 and 480, okay? I sold that trade for $195. I took 8 contracts and received $1,560. Now, very quick trade in this one. On November 23rd at 2:44, I took the trade. I entered at $195, so I got paid $195 when I entered the trade. When I exited the trade, I paid $85, okay? I paid $85. Guess what? I just made $1.10 or $110 times 8 contracts in 2 days. All right? That is the system that allowed Jim to go from inconsistent to reliable income. He said prior to working with me, he told me his results were inconsistent. He felt very unsatisfied. He thought there had to be something better out there, right? You ever feel like that there's got to be something else out there? He said he wanted a way to supplement what he was doing and provide more of a regular income and had a high probability of success. Now, after learning the system of being an option seller, he told me he had 21 winners in a row and returned 76% in about 8 months. And his average trade lasted only 8 days. 21 winners in a row. The difference is gambler, casino. Now we're adding gym to the mix. You see how once they get that system in place, they are able to flip the script to probability. Now I want you to think about all of our case studies. Brian, Mike, I think it was John, and now Jim. If you were able to implement a system like that, what would that allow you to do? Share with me some ideas. What would adding a second income stream to your portfolio allow you to do? I'm going to take a drink of coffee real quick here. Dwayne, you were first. Travel. I like it, especially since the COVID thing is kind of, well, I don't want to say it's on the back burner, but it's definitely a better time to travel than it used to be. That's for darn sure. Retire early. Michael, you also said invest more to retire earlier. I like that idea. I certainly don't want to work forever, right? Pay off your student loans, I see. These ones come up a lot, to pay off the student loans. I feel bad because I feel like I was the last generation to actually have affordable college, where I didn't have to have like I didn't actually have any student loans, but I don't know, it's kind of crazy. Fix your boat. Jeffrey, break out another 1,000, but that's okay. I love boats, and I'll break out that extra 1,000 every time I want to. Douglas, you meant buy an RV and travel. Pay debt off, Monique. Pay nursing home bills, Steve. Yeah, that's a personal one. Go racing, Kurt. I like it. Live better. Retire sooner. This is what can happen if you implement that stream. Okay. Now, we said before that buying is gambling and selling is about controlling risk and putting the odds of success in your favor. The Paycheck system makes sure you have a guaranteed maximum risk, and it all goes back to whether you'd be the gambler or the casino. Now keep in mind, the house always wins in the end. Being an option seller is the way that you can get this consistent income. Okay? This is what's going to allow you to do this safer than just buying and selling stocks. Now, let's put this together, and I want to show you how you can do this in as little as 15 minutes a day by putting this into a bulletproof system. It's important because one of the biggest things that people ask me is how much time is it going to take? And listen, that's a great question. Here's the challenge. There's thousands of stocks. You got to find how to pick the right stock, the right strategy. When do you get in? What expiration? What price? What do you do if the trade goes against you? What do you do if the trade doesn't go against you? And a lot of people feel that makes it like a needle in a haystack. You can't find trades easily. There's so much information out there, you don't know what's important. Or it takes hours of your time, right? You research trades, you go from guru to guru, you read IBD, you look at CNBC. Ultimately, without a system, you're trading blind. You're like that mouse running through a maze, bumping into wall after wall. You don't know where to go, and it's very stressful and disheartening. With the right system, as you've seen, Brian, Jim, Mike, all those guys, you can get good, reliable income in as little as 15 minutes a day. Here's how you do it. You need a system. I've said system like 5,000 times today. Hopefully you guys understand you have to have a good system. You need a straight line system, a really simple way to know when to place your trades, how to find the good trades, how to set them up with the right options, and how to manage them. So let me walk you through the pieces of the options paycheck system in the order they go in. No one that I've ever seen teaches option selling this way. This is like the secret sauce, right? A whole systematic approach. There are 6 pieces, the top 5 build on each other, and then the 6th kind of ties it all together. Now at the top of the system is market direction. A lot of traders ignore this and they just go out and place trades. Market's in the biggest bull market of all time. I'm going to try to find a stock that's going down. You don't want to do that. Put direction in your favor. Most of the time, stocks follow the overall direction. If the market is bullish, we're going to be doing bullish trades. If the market turns bearish, we're going to be using bearish trades. If the market's neutral, we can also do some neutral trades. You're narrowing your focus instead of looking at everything. You're only looking at one of 3 possible scenarios. Now, our Paycheck system has a built-in timing signal to help us tell the market direction. Now, once we have that, we're going to go find stocks. We're going to look for stocks that are likely to move in the same direction of the market. So just hearing and doing stocks that you hear about on TV or reading in the paper, that's not the best choice. You want to find good stocks that are already in uptrends when the market's rising, bad stocks that are in downtrends when the market's falling. Now, our Paycheck system saves time by looking at 2 main things, fundamentals and market trend. So we have pre-built searches inside of VectorVest that we use that'll help you find these things very, very quickly. No more digging through all that information. Once we find the right stock, now it's time for the options. Earlier, we talked about how big of an effect volatility had on an options price. The Paycheck system focuses on finding those high volatility expensive options, but we don't stop there. To take even more risk out of the trade, we don't trade near earnings. Earnings make the stock go crazy. We take that out of the picture. We also use the expiration that's going to give us the best time decay in case the trade doesn't go in our direction. Now listen, you could take tools from a broker to help. I use a proprietary search tool which finds these trades in just a matter of seconds. Now it's time to set the trade up. We pick the one that has the highest probability based on the strike prices of the options, and we combine that with risk reward. Okay? I want to make sure before I place the trade, I don't want to risk too much. This is one of the big things I told you guys earlier. People say, well, I sold options before, but one bad trade wiped out a bunch of winners. You should know how much you make on average on a trade and what the loss should be up front. You would never place a trade that would wipe out that much of your gains. That's part of a good risk reward trade. That requires a little bit of discipline. That requires you to not take trades sometimes that don't look good from a risk reward perspective. Now, after you figure that out, now it's time to management, right? I don't want you to be a deer in the headlight here. Before you place a trade, you need to know what the trade is going to do for you or against you. So we have predetermined level for profits. You will know where to exit that trade if it goes against you to take a small proportional loss. And I will even teach you an adjustment strategy where we can reduce our losses by 30%. Or every now and then we can turn a loser to a winner. Okay? And I will also teach you risk. I'll teach you that risk reward. Don't risk more than this of your account. You should be trading 10 contracts, etc. We'll teach that as well. And then the final step is a tool for speed and efficiency. You want a way to do this quick, right? You don't want to be spending all day. You need a tool that allows you to do all these things. It should be something you're comfortable using. Now, some brokers have tools that are better than others. There's paid tools out there that you can use. I use a proprietary tool from VectorVest called Options Pro, and that saves me a ton of time. Now, earlier we talked about Mike and Jim, and each of those is getting those results in 15 minutes a day, and so is Hugh. He told me one of his biggest struggles was finding a system that was time efficient and worked. He didn't have a proper work-life balance. Do you ever spend too much time doing things you don't want to do and not enough time doing things you want to? Now that Hugh learned the Paycheck system, he said he had more confidence and more free time. In his first 43 trades, he had 38 winners. I told you there's going to be some losses, okay? There's not going to be every trade's going to be a winner, but he had $26,000 in profits in 4 months. The system is what gives you this performance. Now, I want you to do this. I want you to take a pen. I want you to look at our system here. If you have a quick way of finding good stocks that are going in the direction of the market, I want you to put a check mark next to that. Don't write on your monitor, but put a check mark, a smiley face or something. Out of this approach, if you know something where you need some work, I don't know the option part of it, put a frowny face there or an X, right? If you're not good at trade management yet, put an X there or a frowny face. What I want you to do is look at this system and see the areas where you need to work. Don't overthink it. Give yourself about 10 seconds. Now, I'm willing to bet that maybe only 1 in 100 investors will ever know how to do this. Now, let me ask you guys, what areas do you need to personally work on? I want to see some of your responses. What areas do you need to work on in your options paycheck or options income system? All right, Alfred, you were first. You said all. Kurt, you're at trade setup. Michael, all. Hari, trade management. Drew, selection and trade setup. Jerry, tool for speed. Ryan, all of them. Risk management, Dwayne. Finding and setting up the trades, Ray. Trade setup, Wayne. All of them, Monique. Now, here's the deal. I can only read a couple of these. Sorry about that. Jorge, you said when to close. Trade management. Here's the deal. We need to get it to where you can have stars or check marks all the way down. Once you do, you'll be able to generate income every month and do it in less than 15 minutes a day. That is the roadmap that you need to follow. You've identified an area of weakness. Now let's correct it. Okay? Now, I don't know why you came to today's webinar, but I'm going to make some guesses. Ultimately, maybe you're just simply trading blindly and you don't know where to go. You're bumping into one wall after the next, and it's leaving you with inconsistent results, like Jim did before he learned the Paycheck system. Maybe you've been suffering through loss after loss, and those small losses are killing your portfolio. Maybe the money coming in isn't exceeding the money going out. Maybe you're just not where you want to be. Now, today I showed you the secret to fix that, and it's a secret I bet only 1 in 100 investors will ever know, and now you're one of them. You saw it's possible to win even if you're wrong. You can do it with very little risk. The Paycheck system controls risk up front, even less risk than buying and selling stocks. And you saw the system, that 6-step approach that helps you get consistent income every month. Now, I showed you just a few of the many people who use the system every day, so they never have to worry about retirement. You saw over and over, the secret to generating your consistent income is to shift from being the gambler to the casino. You're going to be that one investor out of 100 who knows this. That means there's 99 other people out there doing it wrong. They'll be buying options, making those mistakes that we talked about. Now listen, you can't stop them from doing it. There's always going to be those investors out there who will buy options incorrectly. Let them be the gamblers. As long as they're out there, you may as well be the casino, because the casino always wins in the end. Brian learned how to do it, just like Brian did, just like Bruce did. Bob went from broke to 71% in 4 months. Paycheck for Jim, 21 winners in a row, no losses in 8 months. Hugh, flipped that switch, more free time, able to have more fun. 43 trades, 38 winners. For those of you that want to trade in an IRA, 12 months, John grew his IRA over 112% and enjoyed 85% winning trades. So if you're like most people, you're wondering, how do I implement the options Paycheck system in my portfolio? Well, you have a choice. Option number 1 is simple. You can do nothing. Stay where you are right now. And listen, if you already have enough to retire on, you're not worried about running out of money, then you probably don't need the Paycheck system. That's cool. But if you'd like to make extra income, that leaves you with 2 other options. You can do it alone. Try to learn how option trades work, figure out the direction, find the stocks that are moving in the right direction, figure out the options, work hard, spend hours in front of your computer. As long as you're willing to do some trial and error, you might be able to pull it off. But, as I tell my son and my wife all the time, there's a third option. I call this the path of least resistance. Let me show you how to do it. I'll walk you through each piece of the options Paycheck system, and in just a few weeks' time, you'll be able to implement that system to follow, and it doesn't take a lot of time. So of those 3 options, ask yourself, what is going to be easier for you? There's 2 types of people. Person number 1 is someone who dreams about their financial goals, but they don't take action to make it happen. The second kind of person is they see opportunities. They're ready to jump on those good opportunities when they're in front of them. Since you're dedicated enough to be with me to this point, I'm willing to bet you're person number 2, and that makes you the perfect candidate to get started on your first options Paycheck. So let me tell you what we put together for you. The first and foremost, our options Paycheck course. This is a complete A to Z course that teaches you the entire system to help you generate income. This lets you live that lifestyle you want without the fear of running out of money. Now, our clients who take this course, we shoot for an average of 3% per month. You've seen some guys that are doing a lot more than that. They're maybe taking a little bit more time per week to trade with a better than 70% success rate. So here's how the course breaks down. We'll start by building a strong option foundation. You're going to know exactly how calls and puts work to confidently use them in your trades. In modules 2 and 3, you're going to know how to create these income trades that have a 70% or better success rate. Now, here's my thing. Most option courses stop right there. We don't. Module 4, we're going to teach you market direction and stock selection. That way you know what you're supposed to trade. In Module 5, we're going to show you which stocks make the best options candidates and how to set up your trades properly. In Module 6, you're going to be no longer going to be that deer in the headlight. You're going to know exactly what to do if the trade goes for you or against you. You will also know how much risk to use in your account, how many contracts you should trade. We're going to teach you everything to know about trade management and portfolio management. In Module 7, we're going to concentrate on the broker side. I'm not going to be able to teach you how to use every single brokerage out there, but I'm going to give you things that you need to look for in your brokerage. Key things that every broker has that you're going to need to execute your trades. Now, for a lot of people, they want to have this all written down, right? Well, we do that. We give you a checklist. We put all of our rules into a checklist so you never miss a step. When you're first starting out, it's always comforting to have this security blanket so you know you did things right. Now, before I talk about the price, I want to make this low risk. Everything that I'm doing today is about low risk, right? We offer a 100% money back guarantee. You can go through the entire course, and if you're not satisfied that we taught you how to do this, you can get your money back. There's completely no risk. But there is a kicker. You got to do the work. Because we know if you do, you will see the results. If you don't do the work, you won't be eligible for a refund. That means, like it says, come to the classes, whether it's the live or the recordings. I don't care which one you do. Do the assignments and put in effort. I want to attract serious investors who are ready to do that. So my refund policy, I don't think it's very tight, but I do want you to actually participate. Don't just say it won't work for me without actually trying it. That's my goal. Ultimately, I'm going to teach you how you can average 3% per month. That's 36% a year. And it doesn't take a lot of time to do it every week. One of my clients that I worked with in the fall of 2019 sent me an email back in October. Now think about this. His trading was during coronavirus, that big nasty market sell-off. He said, I'm writing to thank you for teaching the Paycheck course. I took your course last fall and wanted you to know my results for the past 10 months. I keep a journal to document every trade. So far, I've profited on 239 trades out of the 350 that I've taken, a 68% winning rate. I've profited over $100,000 in this time. What's more exciting is that since my knowledge and experience have grown in regards to taking really good risk-reward trades, he's really amped that profit, $50,000 in the last 6 weeks. 78% wins over his last 100 trades, and he only takes trades with 2 to 1 or better success or risk to reward. Now, Joe took 350 trades over 10 months. That's a lot of trading. I only take probably 10 to 12 trades a month. So you can see how you can scale it up if you really wanted to, but it's completely up to you. He's doing very, very well, trading a little bit more heavily. Now think about it. If I told Joe in the fall of 2019, I'll give him $100,000 if he just pays me $2,000, do you think he would take that? That's a pretty good trade. I think you'd all take that. Now I'll make you a better offer that in just a few minutes. Now before I tell you any more about it, I want to point something out here. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not something that you should expect to become a millionaire in the next 24 hours. If you want to achieve that, play the lottery, okay? That's not how trading works. This is serious and requires some effort on your part. If you're not going to commit to it, then don't do it. It's not for you. It's for serious people who take their investing seriously and want to put in the time to learn this. So if you're serious, ready to put the work in and get results, the Paycheck course is perfect for you. You're going to get the entire course delivered live to you each week, plus recorded sessions. So if you can't be at our live sessions, it's not a big deal. We have everything recorded for you, so you can watch it at your leisure. That's a value of $19.90. So as I said, $2,000 for $100,000, I think he'd take that trade. But let me spice it up a little bit. I want to give you some other stuff. A lot of you I saw were kind of worried about how long it's going to take, stock selection and all that. I also teach an SPX system. This is where you're trading options on the S&P 500. You're only trading the S&P 500. That's it. So one symbol, one setup rule, one profit rule, one stop criteria. You can do this on one single ticker. Okay? It's easy to do. My teammate Brian taught this to his 14-year-old daughter, and she could do it. For a lot of my students, this is the only system they use. I'll also give you 7 live mastery support sessions. As I said, we teach one module every week. And at the end of the week, we all get together and we discuss the module. If you're having problems figuring it out, can't get through the assignment, this is your opportunity to meet with me live to go through and see what you're not understanding. I want to make sure that you're ready to implement every week what we're teaching you. Okay? I'm also going to open up a private Facebook community. You can do this under your real name. You can make an alias for Facebook. I don't care. But it's going to be a group of all of you taking the course, and you can help each other. Of course, I'll be on there too with my team. We'll be helping you as well. Now, through Facebook, we also offer 12 months of live Q&A. So every month I come out there and I do a live session to make sure we're all on track. Now, those trades I showed you earlier, Goldman Sachs and Tesla, I took those trades in my weekly group coaching. So I focus on coaching our income students here at VectorVest, and I do this system with them every week looking for live trades. I actually trade a real account, and I look for trades on a weekly basis depending on market correction or market direction. You get 7 weeks access to that coaching. So you will see live trades. I don't recommend you take the trades while you're learning because I don't want you to get freaked out if a trade goes against you or anything, but you're going to be seeing me implement and seeing me manage these things in real time. Now, my tools for speed and efficiency I use are VectorVest 7 and Options Pro. I feel that these are the best tools to use to do this quickly and efficiently. It's going to dramatically reduce the time you spend. Is Options Pro and VectorVest mandatory? The answer is no, but I do believe they're very, very valuable if you want to do it the most efficient way. You're going to get access to those 2 pieces of software for the 7 weeks of the class. So when the live curriculum starts, we turn that on for you. Now, for those of you that might be new at options, I also throw in an options foundation course. This is a streaming class, okay? You can start this as early as tomorrow if you want to. It'll help you brush up on your foundation, okay? You want to brush up on the basics? This will help you. If you've never traded options before, this will allow you to hit the ground running so when that live curriculum starts, you're ready to go. Example, Bobby and then Shun. Both of them never traded options. They took the options foundation course that was along with their Paycheck course. Shun made his first 7 option trades and made 5 winners and 2 losers. 4 hours already paid for the class in full. Bobby took his first SPX trade, paid for half the class before it started. Now listen, I don't recommend that you guys do that, but I just wanted to show you how good the foundation course actually is. There's a lot of information in there, so it's not just like a blow-off deal. It's a really good course to build some foundations. Now, let me summarize this. You're going to get the full options Paycheck training course, the 7-week course, plus 1 year of live access to the course materials, the SPX bonus course, the 7 live mastery support sessions, weekly group coaching and trade recommendations. If you don't have VectorVest and Options Pro, we'll give it to you for the 7 weeks of the course, the private Facebook group with 12 months of monthly Q&A sessions, the foundation course. If you add all that stuff, you're talking $600 to $800. But what I want to do, and here's the opportunity in front of you, I'm going to roll up my sleeves and work with a couple hundred people over the next 2 months, and I am going to help implement this in your portfolio even if you've never had success with options. Now, you've spent about an hour with me today. If you want to join me, take the path of least resistance and have me take you by the hand and help you install an options income system in your portfolio, then instead of the $6,000, the early bird price for this course is $995. Now remember, it's no risk. If you don't think it's worth it at the end of the course, you've done the work, there is a refund that you can get. Okay? So I try to take out that price as an issue. I want to make sure that you're comfortable spending the money knowing that the burden is on me to prove to you that this works. Okay? Now, since I value your time and you spent about an hour with me, here's what I'm also going to do. While we're operating live today, if you sign up while we're doing this live course, we can do it for $895. That is the lowest price that you can pay for this course. Okay? Lower than our elite price. That means you're going to get everything I went over for $895. All you got to do, www.optionspaycheck.com. There's like an orange or a gold register button. Hit that and get started. Ask yourself how much it's costing you not to do this. How much money will you lose learning by trial and error? And how much profit are you going to miss out on? How much time and energy will you spend trying to do this on your own? Then I want you to ask yourself, how would your life be different if you do it and it works? It's not too late. There's an old saying that the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago, so you can be sitting under it now enjoying the shade. The second best time is now. It's not too late to begin to prepare yourself for retirement and learn to generate income. This is going to be one of those deciding days. Are you going to take action, set yourself up for a secure retirement, or will you come back in 6 or 7 months and say, dang it, I could have gotten started then and I missed out on a lot of opportunity? Don't miss this. Don't regret the decision. I look forward. I'm going to be working with you folks for the next 2 months getting this implemented. So again, go to optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered before registration closes. That $895 is only available while we're live. It's lower than our elite pricing. So if you have never taken the Options Paycheck course before and you want the lowest possible price, www.optionspaycheck.com. When we shut this thing down, it's going to go right back to $995. So www.optionspaycheck.com. There's like a orange or a gold register button. Hit that, get signed up. And if it's right for you, let me know. Give me a shout out in the session. Say, hey, I'm in. I'm in. For two reasons. Number one, we want to welcome you by name. And number two, my colleague Brian's going to join me here in just a minute, and he's going to tell you about what comes next. What is the next steps and what you should look for in your email. So Brian, are you there?
Ron, I am here.
All right. Looks good. And I think that YouTube can hear you today.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, I don't know if it's fantastic for them. So it's great to be here with you, Ron. So great session. There's a lot of interest. You kept all of us busy in the background answering questions. So there was a lot of interest in the chat. So we were answering lots of questions. So let's hit up some of the main questions that typically come in that we haven't got to just yet. The first is, there was a gentleman I was answering questions for that was asking, is this live? Is it in person? When is it? When are the dates? So I think kind of cover all that in one answer. So when are the sessions? And these sessions, they're live via webinar. They're not in like a hotel.
Right.
So maybe you could talk about that.
All right. So yes, all of the sessions, the live sessions, are just kind of like they are tonight, right? The live sessions are broadcast over like GoToMeeting, like we're here to do tonight. The live curriculum starts August 5th, right? So you still have about a week and a half to go, I think, before actually 2 weeks before the first live session. That'll get you all registered up. It gets you to look at the foundation curriculum. You could even look at some of the modules if you want to. The modules are all released to you at once in a recorded format. But the live class for Module 1 is Thursday, August 5th at 4:30 Eastern Time. Now, if you can't make the live curriculum, again, it's not a big deal. We record everything. We have everything recorded out there for you in a mastery format. And then we also have where we record all of the live mastery sessions and the Q&As. That way, even if you don't come to the live curriculum, you can see what's happening in real time. Now, at the rest of the course, you can see we kind of shift to Tuesday. So Tuesday, August 10th at 4:30 Eastern Time. This is Module 2, 3, 4, 5, and then into September for 6 and 7. Those are the modules 1 through 7. The mastery, which is us getting together to discuss the modules, the first one is on August 9th, a Monday at noon. Now, I do these during the market day because I like to use real-time markets when appropriate, so I do them during the day. I know that not everybody can be there at noon. I know that not everybody can be there at 4:30. There's never a perfect time where everybody can see it, because I know some of you are in Australia, some of you might be in California, some of you might be in Europe, right? The beauty is I can broadcast this everywhere, but I know the times are all different. So I got to pick a time that works for the most people. So on Monday, the 9th of August, is Mastery Session number 1, where we discuss Module 1. That's going to answer any questions you might have, help you with the assignments, anything that has to deal with Module 1. Then on Friday the 13th, I don't have any problems with that, by the way. That's where we do the mastery for Module 2. And then you can see through the remainder of the course, the Friday after that, the Friday after that, the Friday after that, the Friday after that, the Friday after that. That's when we do the remaining mastery sessions, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So those are the dates of the live curriculum. And as I said, if you can't join us for the live curriculum, I'm going to guess and say probably 40% of the people that do the Options Paycheck do not actually attend the live course. They just attend it with us. They send me email questions every week. They send me questions that, hey, Ron, can you show this in the mastery session so I can watch the recording? I know that time doesn't work for everybody, so feel comfortable that we still have a good number of clients over the last 6 years that have done this purely from the recordings. So don't feel like you have to be at the live to get the value here.
All right. Fantastic, Ron. There was a gentleman, I believe his name is Terry, at the very beginning, was wondering if he could do this in his IRA.
Most likely. Over the course of the last 6-7 years as I've been doing this, I'm going to say I'm even going to say probably 80% of the people I run across are doing this in their IRA. But every now and then I hear people say, hey, Ron, I can't do this in my IRA. Well, some IRAs aren't set up for doing these types of trades. It's just the way that the IRA is set up. But I'm going to say probably 80% of the people that I know do this in an IRA, and they have no problems doing it. But I always want to throw the disclaimer out there. The first call, call your broker. Say, hey, I want to start doing options trades in my IRA. I'm going to be doing vertical credit spreads. What do I need to do? Most of the time, they'll have you sign a form for a risk disclosure and you're on your way. Sometimes they'll say, hey, your IRA is not set up for that. We can't do it. So always call first to double check if that's going to be how you invest. Make sure that your IRA can do it.
All right. Now, Ron, the next question is, what size account does somebody need to actually implement the system?
The lowest amount I'd say is $5,000. Based on our risk parameters, $5,000 would get you started. You saw earlier, way in the beginning with Brian, not this Brian, but one of our clients, Brian, he started with $6,000, and he was able to do very, very, very well with that amount. So I would say 5,000 is probably the minimum. That's going to be able to at least let you place one trade on the S&P 500, or if not, one or two stock trades. So 5,000 is a good baseline to start with.
All right, fantastic. And those of you who are in, you should get an email immediately with the link to join the class, so the course. So you'll be able to go through all the material right away. Even though Ron will start meeting with you live in a couple of weeks, you can start going through everything live right now. And you'll be able to join the Facebook group, and give us about 24 hours or so, and we'll get you approved for that Facebook group. And you'll have people like Ron in there, of course. John will be in there, and John's in the background with us. He's a key member of the team. John could probably pop in there right now and see how it's going in that Facebook group. And then one of the questions is, I just saw it pop in, is like, can we talk to people who've taken the class? After the course is over, we have an alumni group of well over 1,000 people. I think it's near 2,000. I got to double check the number of people that have gone through the class. A lot of smart folks in there. You could talk to them about the trades. There's a constant discussion of trades that they're in, and you could talk to them about their experiences, the things that they're doing. And it's just a community of people who've gone through the training, sharing ideas, sharing trades. So you'll be invited into that alumni group after the course is over. And the benefit of that alumni group is Ron gets in there every month on a Facebook Live. It's a Q&A once a month where you can ask questions. So it's like follow-up training. So let's say 6 months from now, you'll be in that alumni group and you'll be like, you know what, I'm still trying. I have a question about this trade management that I learned from Ron in the Paycheck. Just come to that live Q&A, or just post your question and Ron will be there for you. All right. So that's kind of some of the things that you have access to during the course and afterwards. All right. So next up, Ron, so I'm going back and forth with a few different people in the chat about results, and there's a few questions I was going to ask you, but let's start off with this one. If somebody's going through this course with you, how quickly before they can, number one, place their first trade, and number two, start to see some results?
Well, realistically, you should start to see results in the first 30 days. Even if you get in at a time when the market's going the other way or it reverses, because every now and then that happens, and you'll get it to the point where, instead of winning 70% of the trades, you're only doing 50% because the market's in one of those areas where it turns. You really should, as long as you can get through the material good, you should be seeing results usually within the first 30 to, I'm going to say, 45 days. Because the nature of this course is we teach you everything that you need to know. You should be able to at least trade the S&P in your first 30 days at least once. So I think the way the course is laid out, you should start being able to trade and seeing results pretty fast. I don't like you trading during the course to try to jumpstart, because listen, this is a process, okay? Go through the course, learn it right. Don't be so in a hurry to try to start making money. You do things wrong, or you do things when you're not prepared. When you make good decisions, the money will come. So don't be in a huge hurry, but I would say 30 to 45 days. I mean, you should be ready to be placing your first trade after the course and seeing those results.
And Ron, we've been teaching this course. I say we, I'm in there teaching it, and I linger in the background, but since 2016, and basically thousands of people have gone through this. And of course, you're going to get some people who actually follow the rules and do it, and they're seeing great results. There's people who kind of buy a course and they don't do anything. They put it on the shelf. But of course, we wouldn't be teaching this course for so long if people weren't getting results. Word would get out like, oh, this options paycheck thing doesn't work.
Right.
Oh my goodness. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because I've been talking, like I said, to a couple people in the chat, and they're like, well, how has he done recently in the market? And which, of course, we could answer. But one of the things is this is also a long-term system, like built on, like you said, hitting singles, and you're like the casino. You're going to be the building that'll be there years from now, even though you have one person come in and make you might lose money on that one person, but it's a big game, that a long-term thing, and you're the casino making money over the long period. So all that to say, Ron, what have your results been over the years doing this? We'll start off with that one. How's it been? I think you said last year was like 60%, but can you share a little bit on your long-term results doing this?
So since I've been keeping track of working here at VectorVest, because before I worked for VectorVest, honestly, I didn't keep track of my win rates and all that kind of stuff. I just kept track of, what I was doing personally. Since I've been with VectorVest implementing this, we have hit our goals in 4 out of 5 years. Now, the year that we did not hit our goals was 2018, and we still were profitable. We beat the S&P by quite a bit, but we didn't quite hit our 3% monthly goal. Now, this year has honestly been a little bit more challenging. So this one might be a year that we might not meet our goals either, but I am very confident that we'll still end the year profitable. So, even if this year doesn't, and there's still a lot of time for this year, so I'm not exactly like counting this year as a winning but not my 3% year. Even if this year comes in at that, I'm still at a point where basically I'm, 7 winning years, but 5 of them are my 3% and 2 of them will be less than 3% a month. So it has a long history of good results, and one of the things I do is I'm pretty transparent. The trades that I take, you see. I get in with my clients every Monday and Wednesdays. Those are the trades that I take. So you see the ones I'm actually doing. I don't have them in the background where you can say, oh, Ron made $25,000 on trades he didn't show us. No, that doesn't work that way. And if I did, I wouldn't count it as part of my system. Everything I put into these systems, I show with my real-time coaching students. Remember I told you guys I'll get my trade recommendations in that coaching curriculum? That's where I do my trades now. I do my trades in that class, and that's basically it.
Yeah, and the cool thing, you're not front-running anybody. You're actually, people usually beat you to placing the trades. So you're actually in there talking about them. Say, oh, well, let's go into Thinkorswim and let's place these. By then, you've had the class, whoever wants to place those trades, some of them are already typing into the chat box, oh, I just got filled. I got filled.
It can be frustrating. It's like, why are all of you people getting filled and my order is still there? Yeah, it can be frustrating. And by the way, I don't have the size to front run anybody, so it's not like I can do that.
Oh, no, Ron's a whale.
Yeah.
Oh, what is that? 100,000 contracts on the SPX, Ron? Yep. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So we've got Victor. I love this question. He's VJ says, I just signed up. What should I expect next? Well, VJ, what to expect is you should get an email from us, and that email will have all the details. It'll have all the dates, all the times. It'll have the link to the Facebook group. It'll have directions to access the course. So we recommend that you access the course, number one, and kind of poke around and get a feel for the things that are in there. Number two, join the Facebook group. Start saying hi to the people inside of the student group. But use this time between now and the first live session to, number one, go through the Options Foundation course. Even if you know options a little bit, it's beneficial to go through the Options Foundation course since you got the time and get an overview of what a call is and what a put is and what it means to buy and sell them. Then you could just jump right into the Paycheck curriculum and have a notebook out. Go through it without doing any of the homework first. Just go through and watch the training, write down the notes, write down some questions, and then if you have time, you can go back through it again, and some of the questions will be answered after you go through the second time, or just wait for Ron to teach it live and see if he answers your questions, or just save your question for his live Q&A. All right. So let me know if that answered your question. Kurt, I just see you in the chat box also said I'm all signed up. Kurt was originally saying, it's not accepting my password or something like that. And I'm glad you're able to get in there, Kurt. All right. So I think that answered what to do now. And Ron, well, the one question that we didn't answer yet was about how long are each of the modules and how much time during the week, just for these 7 weeks, would somebody need to dedicate to actually learning the full system?
Good question. The modules are anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes long. And so if you want to put time aside a week, give yourself 3 to 4 hours a week. That way you have enough time to watch the recordings or watch the live curriculum. You can then go into we have videos that kind of walk you through all of the homework assignments. So the homework assignments are actually pretty easy. It's kind of like an open book test. I have videos that walk you through every step of the way. But to do that, do all the other things, give yourself 3 to 4 hours a week. That'll be, I think, perfect.
All right. And then after this, let's say after the course ends, Ron, are they going to still have to spend 3 hours, let's say a week, doing this if they want to be good at this?
No. I mean, if you focus on the S&P 500, you can literally do that trade in 15 minutes a week, if that. It's really not that difficult. Now, if you want to start trading a bunch of stocks, that's also going to depend on the tools you have too. If you use Options Pro and VectorVest, you might be able to trade stocks in, spending 30, 40 minutes a week trading. That's it. If you're going to use your broker software, it might take you an hour depending on how many stocks you want to trade. So, really, it's not that big of a time commitment. That's the reason why I do this, by the way. One of the biggest reasons why I switched over to options is because I got sick and tired of spending 8 hours a day in front of my computer. I was a day trader. And even though I was successful at it, I didn't want to spend all that time. So that's why options really became much more of a plan for me.
All right. And just a quick reminder, everybody, that this $895 price is lower than even our elite pricing, which is $995. So this is the lowest price, unless, of course, you've taken the course before. Let's say you're one of the people who took it back in 2016 and you need a refresher. Well, that's $495, and you get all the bonuses all over again. That's one of the reasons people sign up for the refresher, is to get all the bonuses again. But we gave it, if you fall into that category where you've taken it over a year ago and you want a refresher, you actually have to either use a link that we emailed you separately, or you call our office and let them know you would like the refresher. But some quick notes: this $895 will go away when we are done with today's webinar. The price will actually go up to $1,495. That'll go up, I believe it's August 2nd. Right? That'll go up August 2nd. And then registration will close for good on August 4th. Okay, August 4th. And then you can't get in anymore, and you'll miss out until we run it again in the future sometime. All right, so there are some deadlines for you to think about that are coming up. It comes up quicker than you think. Okay. All right. So I think next up, let me just take a quick look. Oh, the other thing that I saw came in from Andreas was some of the bonuses, like the software and things, those will kick in. Like the software you'll get access to by the first day of class. So if you're looking for that Options Pro software, we'll turn that on by August 5th. And you'll start to be invited to the Ron's bonus coaching sessions the week of, let's see, it's either the 9th, it'll probably be the week of August 9th, because we want you to go to the first session with Ron on August 5th. That way he can explain everything to you and let you know what's going on. And then the week after that, we'll start inviting you to some of the bonus sessions that he does with his clients. All right. Now, Ron, can you think of anything that you wanted to add as far as things that, like, either that you think typically gets asked or that you wanted to cover?
Not that I can think of. I think we hit all the major points.
All right. And Mike just says, are we given actual trades to make, or is this purely educational, Ron?
Well, I mean, the course itself is educational. You, over the 7 weeks through that mentoring program and that coaching program, you'll see trades that I'm actually making. Like I said, I would not, I don't recommend you take the trades yet, because I want you to learn the system first. But, you'll see trades that, we can make. But after the end of the 7 weeks, it's all you. It's all on you. I'm going to teach you how to fish, and you're going to start fishing.
All right, Mike. Hopefully that helped. Hopefully that helped other people as well. All right. Well, Ron, I think that's the questions that have come in. And if you have if you guys have any questions after the webinar, I put our phone number in the chat. It's 888-658-7638. You can talk to a live human being, not a human being, but a human being. And other than that, Ron, I'm going to pass it over to you to wrap things up for the day.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, Brian, and thank you, John and Todd and background. I appreciate it. Well, I hope you guys had a good session there for the last hour, hour and a half. I appreciate you guys coming to spend some time with me. I hope you learned a little bit more about income trading and how to do it and how to be an option seller and how that can benefit you. For those of you that signed up, can't wait to start working with you. I'll probably see you on Facebook hopefully in the next couple of days, and you'll at least get that contact with me. And then, we'll see you on August, whatever state that was. I think it was August 6th. We'll see you in August for our first live course. So I'll go ahead and bid everyone a farewell. Thank you again. Have a great evening, and we'll see you in August. Take care, everyone.